Hey, I'm Steven Weston. This is my studio walkthrough of my track Like I Used To with Låpsley for my Anjunadeep debut. Also on the Anjunadeep 13 compilation. This is my home studio. Track's in Ableton. Let's just dive right in. Alright, so this is my Ableton session. It sounds a little bit different because this is Ableton session that I used to stem out to put into Logic to mix it. Usually I'd kind of give it a once over in Logic and then I'd either finish it or I'd pass it on. And in this case, I pass it on to Chris Allen and he mixed the whole EP for me. He's amazing. So yeah, so it sounded a little bit different, not as good probably, but you'll see a lot of the elements in here still kind of in a raw-ish form. So I'll start with the drums. Let's just have a listen to all the drums. It's always nice to hear that. It's the chorus. And you can see that there's two kicks. This was the original kick. And then what happened was I bounced out an instrumental to put into Logic to record Låpsley's vocal. And that kick wasn't quite doing it for me, and then I added this other kick in Logic. As you can hear, it just gives it a bit more body, a bit more top end, it just gives it a bit more clarity. So that's cool. I quite often start a track with a kick, and then it usually ends up changing at mix. Because I'm a little bit slapdash when I produce. Just because I've got a artistic brain on rather than my science brain, I guess, from my engineering background. So these woody sounds, this was like the third track I made for my artist project, I think, and I was still kind of finding stuff that I liked, and I like all these woody sounds. This is just from this Ableton pack. Nothing fancy. I just with these sounds, giving it some parallel compression. And then going through this foyer reverb, which I love. I just love this preset. I don't know why. It's really cold sounding, and I use it all the time. You know, when you just sometimes find something and you just end up using it a lot. So I do. This washed out effect, which is an audio effect rack in Ableton. I use this quite a lot as well. Here I use it for this build. It's just a delay, but and it kind of it makes it sound more washed out, and yeah, I like it. And that's got a high pass with some automation on. They've got a high pass actual EQ, and then I'm saturating it afterwards as well. It's quite a lot. Next, this hi-hat, Verb Dark Hat. So this is quite the main hat really, apart from this woody sample, which I'll show you in a sec. But it had loads of reverb on, this foyer again, and I found it really hard to sort out in the mix. And then with Chris Allen, I gave him wet to dry and he just did it, so I was happy about that. He did his wizardry better than me. Again, washed out effect, doing it with all three here, all these three elements. Which is cool. Same effects, filters, EQs, saturation on that. Then we've got this third wood sound, which is from that same Ableton pack. Let's move on here. This high pitch stuff. So these are just these samples. And what I'm doing, loads of harmonics. Adding harmonics on this twin tube. This twin tube is amazing. Oldie but a goodie. Some saturation. And I've got a low pass on it. This foyer plugin, this foyer preset again. Smashing it with a compressor, saturation, and an LFO tool. Doing some sidechain. I use our LFO tool all the time. It's just easy and fast. No method to this. I was just messing around. But then if you listen to it in the mix with all the drums, it's nice. It gives it a nice colour.
And then we've got this rim here, which is like the main fundamental snare, which is then backed up by all these snares here, which are like wet, slappy sounds, give a bit of variation. This sound here that I missed out didn't make it in the end. So when Anjuna wanted this on Anjuna 13, when I sent the stems over to Jody, he texted me and he was like, I've muted the rim shot, is that alright? I was like, yeah, it's fine. And then I listened to the whole track without it, and then I took it out because it's actually better, so cheers, Jody. But if you hear it in the drums... It's a cool part, but I think he was right. Well, he was right. Doesn't really fit everything else. So yeah, it's gone. And then we've got this perkish main, which is the lead kind of little, tiny little perk sound. I like making small sounds loud. That's pretty small, and it's quite prominent in the mix. Kind of offbeat, which is nice. And we've got this clap, which is on the 2. And we've got this weird loop. It's just a little perk loop, which I found. And then I'm using this high buzz, which is a preset in the Ableton delay, which I use a lot to add, a bit like that other one, the washed out. I use this to add to builds. I just really like it, it's simple. Shake a hat. It's not a dance track without a shake a hat. Clap sound, which is going through Valhalla and then Decapitator to give it some grit afterwards. I've got this wood hat. It's like a guero, is it? Is that how you say it? But these two here are really important. It's just nice vibe. And this here, analog, it's not actually analog, it's this DS drum rack in Ableton, which I think is a bit of a hidden gem. Unless everyone uses it, then it's not that hidden, but when I found it, I thought it was a hidden gem. If I just take the EQ off, so rather than it all being samples, it's the little instruments. So this hi-hat, it kind of emulates an analogy hi-hat, but this decay, I mean the hat itself doesn't sound particularly great, but the decay is so good. I love it. I use it all the time. Here. Oh, here I'm using the high buzz as well. Nice, just to add some build. But yeah, this DS hi-hat, use it all the time. Give it a whirl. I've got this organic perk. Reverb first. Taking out some lows and the really highs, compressing, and then compressing it even more again, but sidechaining it with the kick as well. These here labelled pole, it's this flagpole sample in the wind. And this is it kind of looped. with a side chain. And then this flag here, same thing. I like using Foley kind of stuff. So it says hut. Just a tiny little impact. So that's the drums. So look at the melodic content. So I've got two basses. That's FM bass. Just an Ableton plugin. Twin tube, doing a lot. Loads of harmonics and saturation, making it cut through more. Just giving it more depth. LFO tool, a little bit of sidechain, EQ, and then a more detailed EQ, taking out some lows. I'm not doing that much, but it's doing something. And then I've got my MS-20, which is behind me, doing the same thing. But it's just toppy, it's not low. Taking out some lows. LFO tool again, compressing it together. Gives a bit more weight, a bit more sustain. And then on the breakdown, second verse, I'm using this Moog bass, which is Monarch, which is my go-to Moog plugin by Native Instruments. Really, really good. Sounds fat. Taking out lows here, but then I automate it so you get more as the kick comes in. Let's give it a bit more weight. Low pass, high pass, and then the LFO tool for when the kick comes in. There we go. Let's hear that off the drums. Pretty groovy. So now what we've got, this tune tone, which is like the main melody, which is actually just operator in Ableton. They're not doing anything. Compressing it, not much, 2-to-1. Bit delay, reverb, and then sidechain, LFO again. And this here, this is like a granular audio effect rack, which I then bounced out to make this just like a riser. And here we've got this noise stab, which is in Olaf's Spitfire pack, which is amazing. You should check it out. Taking out all the important stuff. I'm sure it sounds better in the mix. There would have been a reason for my madness, I'm sure. LFO tool, sidechain, then going into this nostalgia delay preset, which I use all the time. That and Foyer all the time. Foyer, however you say it. And then LFO tool again after the delay. Taking out some more lows. Tuner, just because I was watching the tuning, because it's a bit funny, a bit off. I was just making sure I wasn't losing my mind. And then this Soothe tool, which basically smooths out the resonant frequencies that you tell it to do and by how much, and it works in the reverse of an EQ. It's in, if I push this up, it takes more out. And you need to be a bit careful, because if you go hard and sharp, I think it makes it sound like a dodgy MP3. But I mean, used subtly on like everything in the mix, pretty much. It's amazing. Voodoo stuff. Don't ask me any too technical questions on it. And then I'm backing that up this piano. Very nice sounds. Nice chill vibe. And then here we've got these dark pad sounds, which again are from Olaf's Spitfire Composer Toolkit. I think this is called Angel or Dark Angel, but I use it on nearly every song. It's so nice. Adding this one down here. Sound great. And then here, OB6415. It's my Oberheim. Let's have a listen to this. I think this one here might be pitched. Yeah, I pitched it up rather than. I like the sound of it warped. I like that kind of grainy effect. And then I've just got taking out a load of lows, nostalgia delay, LFO tool. I'm using this utility plugin to swap the left and the right, just because where I duplicated it, so that the panning that's on the guard, I just did it so that I swapped it over, so it's the opposite. But this above, this is the MIDI information for this pad, and because I play these live, whenever I'm writing music, I always try and keep all the MIDI so that when it comes to performing it, I still have it. And you can see this is going out to my Oberheim now. So that's the Oberheim. Yeah, I love the Oberheim. My favourite synth that I own. Use it on pretty much everything. And then I've got this violin thing, just tremolo violin, which is from the original sounds from Spitfire Labs, somewhere in there. Now this here, this is like the breakdown. Which is my Prophet Rev 2, which you can hear. But originally, it was the Oberheim doing this. But then I changed it for the Rev. And this up below, above it and below it is the MIDI for it. This is what it ended up being, but I got that from this, which is just the chord that I was holding with Ableton's arpeggiator effect on it. But what you can do, you can record this. So if you create a MIDI track, and then if I put the input as this Rev MIDI test, if I arm it, and if I hit record, now that will be the ARP. So if you have an ARP, you can actually record the notes in, so you can get it and then you can tweak it if you need to, which I think is pretty cool. So that's what that is. So if I send this here out to my Prophet, which I use all the time, the Oberheim, the Prophet, and the Minilogue XD is pretty much, although the mini logo isn't on this song, but I don't think I had it then. It's pretty much on everything. So what's next? Portal print. So this is a print of the effects, of the synth, sorry, of this plugin called Portal by Output, which is like a granular effects unit plugin, and I use it a lot, and I just print it, and then I chop it up and move it around. You can see here I cut it up in this section. Panned it. Which is cool. So Låpsley's vocal. So there's not much processing on here because I recorded the vocal into Logic rather than Ableton, just because I prefer recording into Logic or Pro Tools audio, just because it's got better comping features. And the chain was a Sontronics Aria microphone going into my Chandler TG2 preamp, into my Universal Audio 1176, and then into the computer. And then I would have put in loads of unnecessary plugins and DSs and whatnot to get this.
Nights would feel like endless days. My mind was always firing.
And here's the effects that I recorded with. These are the prints.
Days, my mind was always firing.
Sounds so pretty. And then this Portal on Låpsley's vocal, same thing. So that's it for Holly's vocal. And then here we have all the violins, the real violins, which Tay recorded with me in my old studio. Sounds really nice. We just basically did a few takes, and then I took the best bits. Again, it's recorded in Logic rather than Ableton. But there was this bit here which nearly made it, but it didn't quite. Bass would have had to changed. Bass note might have had to change or something, but yeah, maybe I'd put it in another song at some point. There's all this stuff here as well which didn't get used. Of bits. I think I mentioned this viola here. But that's actually a plugin. That's not real. And yeah, that's everything. Nothing on the master, because this is what went to mix. And when I'm producing, I try not to put too much on the master, and only when I bounce it out, then I put a limiter on and smash the hell out of it, and then bounce it out, and then listen to it on headphones for about 10 minutes and decide I hate it. That's it. That's the track in my Ableton session. Color coordinated. That wasn't done for this. I am quite tidy. Nice one. Thanks for tuning in.